We are delighted to host this discussion with Chief Raoni. I'm Jennifer Judas, Senior Director of Community Engagement at the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability. Before we get started, I wanted to walk you through our technology today. This program will host 3 languages. The Chief will speak for an extended period of time in his native Kaopau. It will be interpreted into Portuguese, and while the Portuguese is being spoken on the stage, you'll be hearing the English interpretation at the same time through your headset. So please, please help me provide a very warm welcome for Rodolfo Durzo. Rodolfo is the, in 1 minute. Rodolfo is the faculty leader who initiated this wonderful program. Rodolfo is the Bing Professor of Environmental Science and the Associate Dean for Integrative Initiatives on Environmental Justice at the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability, and it is a pleasure to welcome Rodolfo to the stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. Boa tarde. And amokrimei. Tá bom? Excellent. It is my real pleasure to welcome you all. It's wonderful to see so many people this afternoon here with us. Thank you for joining us for this very, very special lecture. This lecture is one of the Dean Lecture series. This one is unique, actually, and it's unusual in the sense that what we're going to be doing today is a roundtable featuring Chief Raoni. We have the enormous pleasure that he traveled all the way from his Kayapo Nation just recently after having been back from LA to his nation and then coming back in just about 10 days. So his fortitude is just incredible. But he wanted to share this message with you all about what is happening with the Amazon and what we should be doing about that. I want to say that me, as a descendant of the Tlahuica tribe in southern Mexico, and also on behalf of our visitors who come from the Kayapo Nation, we want to start by doing our land acknowledgement. And this is a collective land acknowledgement. We wish to express our gratitude as visitors to the land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Moweg-Maolone people. We wish to honor and pay respect to the elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. And I would like to ask you to take just a few seconds for you to reflect on the significance of the land acknowledgements for all the indigenous peoples from around the world. Just a few seconds of reflection, please. Thank you. Our planet is meant to be a blue planet. But if you look carefully, you will see that actually it's a blue and green planet, especially because of the presence of tropical rainforest in Asia and Southeast Asia. If you go around, you will see tropical rainforests also in Africa. And of course, if you continue in Latin America, you will find an incredible extension of tropical rainforest, particularly in this amazing country of Brazil. Brazil has the largest extension of tropical rainforest on the planet, and it's so impressive to see the magnitude of this incredible this incredible ecosystem. Brazil is important for many reasons, but in terms of the extension that it covers, as you can see there, given the current deforestation in Southeast Asia, in Asia, and in Africa, Brazil actually, of the Amazon, represents about 50% of the remaining tropical rainforest on planet Earth, which is quite significant because, as you know, tropical rainforests are the most diverse ecosystems on Earth. That area of the Brazilian Amazon is, of the Amazon forest in general, is about 670 million hectares. In case you don't remember, a hectare is roughly about the size of a football field, I mean a proper football field, and 60% of that area is actually within the country of Brazil. The significance of this country is just incredible. In addition to that, there is human beings. There's people there, and there have been people there for millennia. So a great proportion of the Brazilian Amazon is actually on indigenous lands, which is really very significant. And that area includes 774 indigenous territories in Brazil, covering an area of about 107 million hectares as well, about 13% of the gigantic area of the country of Brazil that is their land. Of course, one of the most important aspects that is known about the Brazilian forest is this incredible biological richness of plants, animals, fungi, microorganisms, and so on and so forth. I will give you just a few examples to sort of highlight the significance of this part of the planet for everybody. About 35,000 species of vascular plants, which is roughly 10% of the 350,000 species that exist around the planet. So 10% of the plant diversity is in this part of the planet. There's about 146 non-human primates, the highest concentration in diversity of primates in the world, 20% of the planet. In the area of fishes, this is incredible, freshwater fishes, an incredible number of 2,400, which is about 15% of the fish diversity of the entire planet. The last number, 95, I hope they don't get disappointed. That 95 is actually the number of ant species in one single tree. Not one species, one single tree. It's roughly about the same diversity of ants in the whole UK, for example, or in the whole of Germany. Incredible biological diversity. As you can see in this photo, the complexity and organization and layering of the tropical forest is very complex, very different to other much simplified ecosystems. And that situation, because of the problem that plants face there, which is the lack of light because of the incredible growth of the trees, many plants have to invent ways of being a plant under those conditions of limited light. And plants have invented an incredible diversity in what they call life forms. In other words, how to be a plant given that you don't have light. And so some trees are obviously very tall and they have light, but some other trees pretend to be trees, but they climb on other trees, like the yellow thing in the center. Some other trees, some of the plants in the insect, they are accustomed to live on the top of the trees, in the canopy. They're called epiphytes. And then some other crazy trees, like the ones you see on the right, those have invented a mechanism of planting the seeds on the canopy of other trees and then germinate there and then grow from the top to the bottom. As they do, they will embrace the tree that hosted them in the first place, and eventually they kill the tree. But that's an incredible diversity of ways of being a plant, in addition to the richness of species. For those of you who are interested in animal life, there's also this incredible diversity of animal life in terms not only of species, but also in terms of life forms. I have chosen the example of bats, and you can see this mega charismatic collection of photos of bats presenting for you the different ways of being a bat. In addition to the species, it's not the same if all of these were different species, but if all of them were the same morphology, the same way of being a bat. You can see that many of them are adapted to be eaters of nectar, nectar feeders. Some others are frugivores, some others are blood eaters, many insectivores, and so on and so forth. So losing species and losing life forms or functional groups is a critical issue, and Brazil has an incredible cornucopia of those amazing aspects of biological diversity. Of course, all of you know the significance of the Brazilian Amazon in terms of being a natural climate regulator. You can see right there that this forest is being an incredible factory of water, as you can see there, with evaporation and so on, and the production of local rain, and then rain for the world as a whole. It's very important also because of the storage of carbon, with those amounts of carbon that they store there. And of course, this incredible concentration of carbon that prevents possible emissions of greenhouse gases to the atmosphere is due to the fact of the incredible density of trees, many of them gigantic trees as the one that you see here. Also, I wanted to use this photo because it illustrates another interesting thing. The photo on the right, you see some Homo sapienses measuring the diameter of a tree to calculate the biomass and then calculate how much carbon is maintained in this forest. But it's beautiful because that photo includes scientists from the local communities and also scientists from other parts of the world, which is an important lesson right there. Last but not least, there's an incredible biocultural diversity, the combination of biological and cultural diversity, but not in parallel. They're very much integrated, the two of them. Reflected in things such as the traditional ecological knowledge, their cosmovision, and of course the diversity of languages that they have. Here you have a photo of some women, actually, working with some plant by the name of burichi. That plant is now domesticated by these people, and the plant depends on the people, and the people depends on this plant. So you see processes of coevolution of nature with humans in an incredible, beautiful organization in those parts. Unfortunately, I have to tell you, or you will recognize immediately, that the flip side of the coin to this incredible beauty and legacies of the Amazon is what is happening to it in terms of the major drivers of global environmental change that you see there. But of course, as you all know, land use change, especially for the conversion of unsustainable cattle ranching, is the major threat, not only to the Amazon, but most tropical areas of the planet. So, given that situation, what we need is champions. We need champions to protect, to embrace, and to be the stewards of the Amazon. And we are very fortunate that today we have one of those champions sitting with us today, Cacique Raoni Metuktire. So thank you so very much, Cacique. Muito obrigado. This is an incredible pleasure. The next thing that is going to happen in this conversation today is the film that everybody is waiting to see. But before we do that, I want to tell you that this event today is occurring thanks to the work and the collaboration of the Moore Foundation with us. This thing could not have happened had it not been gracious enough to invite us to bring Chief Raoni with us today at the university in the School of Sustainability. What I would like to do then is just to ask you to please join me in welcoming Dr. Maria Di Giano, who is the program officer of the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, to tell us a little bit about the foundation and also to tell us a bit about this connection between us and the Moore Foundation and why we're here today. Maria, please.
Thank you very much, Rodolfo. And I'm very pleased to welcome you all here. It's wonderful to see so many people from the Stanford community, as well as my colleagues from the Moore Foundation here to participate in this wonderful event. And of course, welcome to our speakers that we are very happy to bring here and partner with Stanford University to bring them to this event. And for those of you who don't know the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, we have an Andes Amazon initiative. That's the mission of this initiative is really to protect the Amazon basin, all of the amazing ecological and biological diversity that Rodolfo was sharing about. And we accomplish this mission by partnering with civil society organizations, with indigenous organizations, with government entities where we have aligned interests. And over the course of the past 2 decades of the Andes Amazon Initiative, it's one of the longest standing initiatives at the Moore Foundation, we have invested over $500 million and directly contributed to the conservation and protection of about 178 million hectares, so about a quarter of the area that Rodolfo was presenting there. And in fact, the Kayapo territory that you're going to hear about today was one of the first areas of investment by the Moore Foundation because of its ecological importance, because of its importance for cultural diversity, and also because it's really on the front lines of the threats that Rodolfo also spoke about. So if you looked at that map that Rodolfo showed, you would see what we call the arc of deforestation really abutting against the Kayapo territory, and it's under threat. But more than investing in places, we invest in people. People like the speakers that you're going to be hearing from today, who cross generations, who cross disciplines, scientists, indigenous leaders, and they are really the ones who are doing this work on the front lines of conservation. So I'm so pleased that you're here today to be able to listen directly from them, their message of hope, their message and call to action, because there's a role for all of us in protecting this amazing place that provides ecological diversity, but also important food, medicine, resources, cultural resources for people like Beptuk and Raoni who are here with us today. So thank you very much. Appreciate organizing this event with you.
You see, it's all about collaborations. And I have to say, another thing that I do with the Moore Foundation is in my class, Conservation Biology, one of the field trips of my class is to go to the Moore Foundation for them to tell us about how a foundation of this magnitude makes this decision about what to support, when, what kinds of allocation of resources they do, and so on and so forth. Now, the moment that all of us are waiting, in addition to having the words of Chief Raoni, is to see the documentary film that was produced by Lucas Ramos. And Lucas is an amazing friend. He was raised in the Amazon. and he holds a master's in creative industries management in art, culture, and education. And he advocates for global sustainability through, and I think this is very important, through inclusive communication and quality information. He's a historian, converted, morphed into a photographer, and he's going to tell us a little bit about this amazing film that he put together. Lucas, please.
Thank you, Rodolfo. And thank you, everybody, to be here today. It's awesome to see the room full of people that answered the call of Chief Raoni. As Rodolfo said, my name is Lucas. I'm the director of the documentary you're about to see, and also the manager of a project at IPAM called Amazônia. Amazônia is a verb. It means Amazonize in Spanish and in Portuguese. And our mission is to spread knowledge of the Amazonia to the world. Even though I was raised in the Amazonia region, visiting there is always a humble experience. Maybe it's because of the sheer size of it and the exuberance, everything is so balanced. Or maybe it's because of the people who live there that have the wisdom to become part of this balance. So this makes Amazonia a unique place in this world. The short documentary you're about to see follows the Chief Raoni's call. It's an event that happened in Piaraçu, their home village, that calls for all the indigenous peoples from Brazil. It's a massive gathering of indigenous to align their demands, their struggles, and their message to the world. And initially, this film, this is a short documentary. It would be even shorter. It was the plan was a 3 minutes long video. It was a journalistic piece. And I have prepared for that. I have a script. I know who I was going to talk, and went there on Piaraçu. But on the first day, at the first moment I talked, I was introduced to Chief Raoni. He, by example, set the bar what I need to do there, my mission there. I realized I need to be quiet and listen, just listen, because they have a lot of things to say. He never said me anything, it's only by example, because he's a very, very good listener. So at that moment, I kept quiet. I picked up my script, made a paper ball, and tossed in the garbage. So, yeah, I was there to listen. And I realized I need to become this megaphone for their voices. I shouldn't interfere with nothing about their message. And what I heard was a powerful message. They have a lot of things to say. They have a lot of issues to talk about. But their message all boils down to a simple and a powerful message that all of them share. I won't spoil for you now. You have to see the documentary. But I assure you, we still have a lot to learn with them. So, I'd like to thank you, everyone here today, to answer the call of Chief Raoni. I'd like to thank you, Stanford, Rodolfo, and Dean Arun, to make this opportunity come true. Moore Foundation and PAM to make this a reality. Like, no, we won't be this. We won't have this documentary without them. I'd like to thank my wonderful team of Amazonia team. The Rafael Coelho was the co-director of this movie, and everyone who participates on the project as a whole. And most importantly, a special thanks for Instituto Raoni and for Cacique Raoni for trusting in us to tell this story. Okay, he's not here, but Maikomne, Chief Raoni. I hope you all have a great time and enjoy the Chief Call, Heritage, Land, and Future. Thank you.
Benajur Romni, Nekube Mramri, Pujine, Me Bengukre, Neka Benmo, Ne Amazonia Neka Ben, Jobkama Katinyakam, Me Bakamu Maripundu. Akatinyakam ne, Gume Baye Meku Nima Lenyo Mekute Marikaju, Pukakre Yakam, Meku Nikute Marikaju.
Me Baite Me Wakon, Mema, Ika Benya Tamia, Neka Jiba, Wame Punima, Ika Benya, Tanea.
Estamos aqui num objetivo só: debater, conversar sobre a preservação, a conservação da nossa mãe terra.
Quantos garimpeiros estão destruindo, fazendo buraco em suas nascentes? Quantos garimpeiros estão acabando com a sua água, com a sua floresta?
Nós, enquanto povos indígenas do mundo, representamos apenas 5% da população mundial, mas a gente preserva 80% da biodiversidade do planeta.
A luta dos povos indígenas por suas terras não é apenas uma luta de direitos, mas também é uma luta de preservação de um conhecimento, e eu diria, como cientista, um conhecimento científico que foi acumulado durante milênios.
E a nossa luta não é somente para nós, também pensamos na futura geração do não índio.
Esse é o sonho, toda a terra demarcada e os povos poder viver cada vez mais com suas tradições, poder ter a oportunidade de viver bem, viver.
Brasil Camne, Mebe 200 povos. Ne gume baye are a menino no ancaju, a cati amre moronhaca a menino no ancaju. Camja mebe cubere, meia piao, cariquai que me moia omon cam me ba marique.
Meye a ben marine, a ben kotika ben, ye, iri de a me puka, ba, ya. Nei ka ben mon ba me wa kono ne ka moya o ka ju inglu o ka ju ye me bi kono ne ke ye be me ma.
Thank you so much, Lucas, and thank you everybody who participated in this amazing documentary here. We now come to the panel, but before we do that, I want to introduce the panelists really very briefly. We're going to have, again, thank you, Lucas, very, very much. That was amazing. We're going to have in the panel Beptuk Metuktire. Beptuk is the grandson of Chief Raoni. He is a young Kayapo who serves as a political coordinator of the Kayapo people and is part of the Raoni Institute team. That gathering that was mentioned multiple times there, Beptuk was one of the organizers of that meeting in 2020, in which Chief Raoni Metuktire held and invited multiple peoples of the country to talk about these issues that you just saw in the film. Beptuk is part of the Engage Mundo. It's a youth network in which he's trying to engage the young people of the area, of his areas, to work on these issues of environmental change and the legacy that is being degraded. We will also have Dr. Paulo Moutinho, whom you met in the film. Paulo is an ecologist researching on the causes of deforestation in the Amazon and its consequences for biodiversity and for people. He has worked in the Amazon for 30 years, and he was the co-founder and was the director of the Amazon Environmental Research Institute, IPAM, that you saw in the film. He's also a senior scientist at IPAM, Amazonia, and he's an associated researcher at the Woodwell Climate Research Center here in the US. And of course, we will have in the panel Chief Raoni as well. Chief Raoni Metuktire is a globally recognized figure for his defense of indigenous rights and environmental preservation. Chief Raoni played a vital role in the beginning of the contact with non-indigenous people around the 1950s, and he continued to foster a relationship with with non-indigenous peoples as a way of guaranteeing rights for indigenous peoples. Since then, the chief has been a global ambassador for preserving forests and indigenous peoples' rights, criticizing and advising Brazilian and other governments, international and national, on environmental issues, and thus becoming an indispensable figure in the history of indigenous struggle. In 2020, he was a Nobel Peace Prize nominee for his efforts to unite the world in favor of the planet's survival. Before I call the panelists to the podium, I want to share a couple of slides of Chief Raoni. So this is, you will recognize the other person who is to his right, is the singer of this British band, The Police, and you might actually recognize one of the songs. That's definitely one of my favorites, Message in a Bottle. And I wanted to bring this photo here because, I mean, it's emblematic. You see John Raoni cheering with Sting. But this song, Message in a Bottle, is about this person who was abandoned in this island and alone, and he wanted to communicate with the world. He began sending messages in a bottle, hoping that somebody will get his message. And then one day he discovered that many people actually listened to his message, and they came back and got together and began to do a much more unified and cohesive life. And I think this is important because in 1989, Sting and Chief Raoni traveled around the world, sending messages in a bottle or in multiple bottles, trying to spotlight the plight of indigenous people. There were many consequences of that massive traveling around the world to spread the word, spread the message, and I will mention these two here. One is that the Brazilian government recognized the Menkagoti indigenous territory, an area of 5 million hectares. And then 4 years later, in 1993, one of the largest tropical forest reservations was created, thanks to their efforts, in the Mato Grosso and Paraná states of Brazil. This is the Xingu National Park, an area of 18 million hectares, an incredible accomplishment. You can imagine what would have happened to those areas if they had not been preserved then. So Chief Raoni is internationally recognized as a living symbol of the fight for the preservation of the Amazon tropical rainforest and indigenous peoples and cultures. I will ask them to come, and I will ask them to please share their message with you in the following order. First, I'm going to ask Beptuk to speak. I'm sorry, I will ask the chief to speak first, then Beptuk, and then Paulo. And so, without further ado, please join me in welcoming our friends from the Kayapo Nation. After their messages, you will have time to engage in conversation with the members of the panel. Chief Raoni, gostaria de falar?
Legal na cabena, né? Não precisa de microfone?
Tem microfone.
Vou para a cabena, tá? Tá saindo bem?
Yeah. You can hear, right?
Arme kuning malonyi. Fone kan arme kuning malonyi gitu.
Melhor. Obviamente. Ali cabelo mais.
Queridos e queridas.
Não comari. Bom. Kali kot bom nem acabendo. Para o leboi nara kamiki ne aramo ale arae marimo.
Queridos e queridas,
dear ladies and gentlemen,
compartilho a minha felicidade de estar aqui com vocês.
To be here with you today.
É uma boa tarde para nós, né?
It's a very good afternoon for all of us.
E começar a falar que
start by saying,
estou muito feliz
I'm very happy
de estar aqui presente
to be here
diante de vocês.
Before you.
Porque vocês também contribuem com a minha luta. Vocês também têm um papel muito importante de poder
You're very important
sobre a nossa vida,
in
natureza, floresta,
our life, our forest.
Eu vendo isso
I
com
see
essa
this
quantidade de
by
pessoas
seeing
aqui
the number of
presentes,
people who are here,
vendo vocês,
present,
e estou feliz.
and I'm very happy to see you.
Mana? Dami ale baku ni kota. Name ken kota kuanya mo. Baka mi makrike. Te Brasil kame amakum gume ba amma. Giari ngore rek. Maybe boy go. Make it. Ori meba kamera ai kutabili kaju. Tamne ya.
Bom, eu vim aqui para alertar
To
todos
alert
vocês
all of you
que está surgindo muitos problemas.
that many
pra
problems
nós.
are arising
Quais
for
são esses
us.
problemas?
What problems am I
São
talking about?
exploração de garimpo,
The mining,
desmatamento de
deforestation
floresta,
of our
poluição
forest,
de rios.
pollution of the
São coisas
rivers.
que faz
These things
faz parte da nossa vida.
are part of our life.
Está se acabando,
And they're being
por-
destroyed.
por homem, por
They're being
seres
destroyed by
humanos. Nós
men,
mesmos estamos nos
human
acabando
beings.
com a floresta, com a natureza.
We are destroying nature and the forest.
Está acabando tudo.
Everything is being destroyed.
Eu, lá no
And
Brasil,
in Brazil,
eu tento convencer as
try to
pessoas que estão
convince
destruindo para que eles
people
parassem de destruir.
to stop
Parassem
destroying.
de poder destruir e que essa sobra de
And
natureza
what
que
is
não foi
left of
destruído
nature that
esteja
hasn't been
mantido
destroyed,
para
that this
a
be
nossa
maintained
sobrevivência.
for our survival.
Bom, está tudo muito diferente hoje.
Well, everything
A terra
is
está
very
se
different
aquecendo muito.
today. Even
Nós não
the
estamos
seasons
conseguindo
are
respirar
different.
direito.
We
Não
can't breathe
temos
properly.
uma respiração saudável.
We don't have
Eu tento
clean
falar
air.
isso lá no Brasil.
I try to talk
mas só
about this in
que
Brazil.
Não sei.
I don't know.
Pessoas não escutam.
People are not
Talvez eles não
listening.
tenham noção do que eles estão
Maybe
fazendo.
they don't understand what's happening.
Aí tem então.
Tablia. Mana? Ani ki prideka. Ibo tideka. Bali. Baga muluri. Ngo mekuta kuni abike keteri. Neba meika moyoke. Meika neoke. Neba omuyo. Ara via batoy. Yumaro kube mei wora kutewa. Tamneya.
Quando
Well,
quando eu era muito novo, né?
when I was very young,
adolescente,
when I was a teenager,
eu via muita coisa
I saw
diferente de
many
bom para o bem.
different good things.
Tinha muita floresta,
There was a lot of forest,
muita natureza
a lot of
vivo.
nature. It was
E foi
vibrant.
mudando.
But things
De lá
have been
pra cá,
changing. Since
hoje,
then, today,
estou vendo que
what I
está
see
mudando muito.
is that things are changing a lot.
Desde quando eu surgi na Terra,
Ever since I came
não
to the
tinha
earth,
doença,
there was
antes
no
do contato do
diseases
homem branco,
before
não tinha
the white
doença.
men came.
não tinha
We didn't have
desmatamento,
deforestation.
não tinha nada de mal
We didn't
para
have
nós, né?
anything
para nossa
evil
vida
in our
cotidiana,
lives,
nós
in our
como
daily lives.
E hoje mudou tudo
And today,
isso.
all of this has
Hoje
changed.
eu vi a diferença
Today, I
de
see the
eu
change.
surgir na Terra
Since I
antes do
arose
contato do
from
homem
the earth,
branco,
before the
e
contact
depois
with
do
white
contato do
people,
homem branco.
and what's happened since the
Hoje
contact
mudou
with
muito.
white people,
Hoje
things have changed a
nós
lot.
estamos passando
We are going through
por uma situação muito diferente
a
do que
very different
vivíamos
situation
bem
from the
antes.
one that we had long
Hoje mudou
before.
tudo.
Everything has changed.
Mudou tudo que tem
everything that we
como nosso
have
costume de ser
as our
indígena,
customs,
de poder fazer nossas próprias
to be able to
coisas.
do our own things.
Tá ficando quente, nós não
It's
temos
becoming too hot.
roça
We can't
bom, né, naquele tempo.
farm
Não é
in the
mais o
midst of the
mesmo.
forest. It's not
Nossa
the same
alimentação
as
está
before.
cada vez mais mudando por questão
Our
de
food sources are
climáticas.
changing because of climate change,
E está cada vez mais diferente
and it's
do que
becoming
eu
more and more
vivi
different
muito antes do
from what we
contato
used to
com
have in the past before contact with white people.
Yakane, me Brasília. Comemos. Rere, me foto que rere. Amene be me kuta bet paliket. Amene be me ameno kamu kumle na beno bi kwa kumle. Me batum ka. Yano ibami mane jawan. Na keteri. Na ijibe be kororo tia biri keteri. Ne me ba ku ka mare. Ari baje me puka poro. Puka poro ne me ko ni chere. Kute me I pejoi me ba ku ka mani pejoi ne ari ai te me o kato. Ijibe I Banere. Koi kwa kamne tina kute me ba fu muina aka mar kamne ho pe kigre kunima wangi me ba fu mon apoi e waya nga kan ba o me o mo tamne ya.
E quando
And when
os portugueses, né,
the Portuguese,
europeus,
the Europeans,
quando eles chegaram
when they
onde nós
arrived
estávamos,
where we were,
começou a acontecer muitos problemas.
problems started
Naquele
occurring.
tempo, nós como
Back at that
indígenas, nós
time,
não
as
tínhamos
indigenous people,
conflito entre
we did not have
eu
conflicts
e outros
between
indígenas.
our group and
Quando
other indigenous
os
groups.
portugueses
When the
levaram esses
Portuguese
problemas para nós,
came and brought these problems
começou
to us,
tudo.
everything else
Deixou esses
started.
problemas
They
para
left
nós
their
indígenas,
problems
nós povos
to us,
indígenas.
the indigenous peoples.
E começou
And they started
matança de nossos parentes,
killing our
doenças
relatives,
matando os nossos parentes.
diseases killing our
Começou
relatives.
muitos problemas.
Lots of
para
problems
nós,
started
povos
for
indígenas,
us,
que
the indigenous
morávamos,
peoples,
só
who lived
naquela terra.
as one and on that
Mudou
land.
tudo.
Everything
Português
changed.
chegou,
The Portuguese arrived,
levando muitos problemas para nós
bringing
indígenas.
many troubles to our
Muito tempo,
people.
quando o
A long
Iprera,
time ago,
o Becororoti,
when Iprere
não
Porokoroti
subiu para o céu
had
ainda,
not gone yet to heaven,
ele fez tudo que tem
he did
nessa
everything
terra. Fez tudo que
in-
tem nessa terra.
in
Ele
the
que
land.
transformou a chuva
And
para
he's
nós.
the one
Hoje
that
nós
made the
estamos
rain.
diante do Becororoti,
Now we're
molhando
before
nós, limpando nós,
Berokoroti, and we're
dando
trying to
uma água para que possamos
provide
viver.
water
E o
for
Becororoti
life.
trouxe isso
And
para nós.
Bekoroti brought
Muito
this to
tempo.
us
Esse
a long time ago.
ser, nome Becororoti,
This name,
fez isso para
Bekoroti,
nós. E está,
is
está
who did this
ainda
for us.
fazendo, mas só
He's
que
still
com essas
doing it.
mudanças climáticas,
But with
não,
climate
nós não
change,
estamos vendo mais
we can't
aquela
see
chuva que
the rain
era antes.
that we used to
Hoje
have.
chove muito mais.
No,
Está cada vez
it
sem
goes
chover,
more up than down.
cada vez
There's a long
mais fica
period with no
quente.
rain,
Enfim,
where it's very
o
hot.
Becororoti,
So
quando ele
Bekoroti,
subiu, ele trouxe
when
isso
he
para nós.
went up, he brought this to us.
Chamado de
Another
Empreira,
Emperor,
mora ainda,
who
olhando
still
nós lá em cima, lá no céu.
is alive in
Criador
heaven,
nosso,
is our
ele que nos
Creator.
criou.
He created us.
Quando nós tínhamos
When
uma vida nessa terra,
we had our
muito
lives on
antes de
earth
nós surgir,
a long time
tinha
before.
vida aqui
There
nesse
was
planeta.
life already here on this
E aí
planet.
depois pegou,
And then
a terra pegou fogo, o
the
planeta
land
pegou fogo.
Caught
Virou
fire.
fogo muito grande.
And it's a great fire.
E o Iprera,
And Iprera,
nosso criador,
as our creator,
ele ressurgiu todos
he
nós,
resurrected
nós,
everything,
seres
all the
vivos,
different
nesse
living
planeta,
beings on the
e ele
planet.
que ressuscitou
And
todos
he
nós, né?
resurrected everybody
Continuar
to continue
vivendo nessa
living
terra.
on this land.
E esse Iprera, nosso criador,
Iprera,
chamado
our
Iprera,
creator,
ele ainda está acompanhando
he
nós
still
todos os
is
dias.
monitoring us
Diariamente,
every
ele
day.
acompanha todos nós.
He
Para
watches over us
monitorar nós,
to monitor us
e continuar
and to continue
protegendo nós.
protecting us.
É isso que o Iprera está
This is
fazendo.
what Iprera does.
Tania. Meriba, me koka meriba you might take. Tu me ngota. Me ko ni bi. Kaya ai te. Koi mo me ko ja. Me mangrele. Yoli yoli mo, yoli yoli mo, yoli yoli mo, pukanu mo ba, mi wa toi ka to, yoli yoli mo, yoli yoli mo, yoli yoli mo, yoli yoli mo. Me kuni ai te kai mo.
Ele cantando uma música.
He's singing a song.
Kam ya ku me ko Mình bị bí kia vui, mình bị kinh cả khối vui, có mà cầm cũng bà cái bên này cái đó cái ông nha mình bảo em nó có bao nhiêu nhà bè, cũng mấy có bà mẹ cha bè, cái nhà mẹ bà đấy có tên đi cũng đi có ra nhưng cũng mấy bà cũng đi ở đây bây giờ có được cái, ở đây Baku niani kri tania. Bonago me ayo. No, ada ba me. Ibe waya nga ka me be waya nga. Ko pumu tania.
Depois do fogo
After the fire
tomar conta desse
had
planeta,
taken over the planet,
quando nós
when we
ressurgimos
were
de novo
brought
nessa
back
terra depois do
to
fogo,
the planet
veio
after the fire,
outro elemento, que
another
é a
element
água. A
came,
água
water.
tomou conta desse planeta.
Water
E acabou
covered the planet
matando todos os seres
and killing
dessa terra.
all of the beings on
E
earth.
o Iprera novamente
And
surgiu
Iprera
todos nós.
again brought us
E ele
back.
estava cantando essa música.
And he's singing
Iprera
that
cantando
song.
essa música,
Iprera sang this song
para nos ressuscitar,
to bring us back
para que possamos
so that we could
reviver novamente
live
nessa
once
terra,
again
para
on this planet,
viver nessa
to
terra.
live in this
É o
land.
que ele queria. O Iprera
And that's what he
queria que
wanted. That's what
temos que continuar
Iprera
vivendo
wants
nessa
us to
terra.
continue living on this
Isso que ele
land.
fez, o papel dele
That's what
é isso. Ele
he
fez
did.
isso
That's his
para que
role,
possamos viver.
to help us to
Mas só
live.
que temos um porém.
But
Esse porém
there's a
é
caveat to that.
nós próprios mesmo
We
estamos
ourselves
acabando com a natureza
are
que
the
criou
ones
para
who are
nós.
destroying nature.
E os garimpeiros,
The
os
miners,
madeireiros,
the timber
os que destroem
companies,
são os
the ones who
destruidores
destroy,
da natureza,
the destroyers
não
of
escutam
nature.
isso, não
They
têm
don't
noção,
hear
eles
this.
não
They
têm
don't
noção
understand
de como nós
They have no
queremos
idea
viver saudável.
of how we want to live
Eles só querem
healthy.
destruir.
They just want to destroy and destroy.
Não sei onde eles vão parar isso.
And I don't know where that's going to
Mas
end.
eu penso
But I
que
think
todos nós que estamos
that
aqui
all of us who are here,
temos cada tendo um papel
each one of us has a role,
importante de poder repassar isso
an
para
important
eles.
one, to tell them
Repassar isso para
this.
eles para que eles parassem de destruir.
Tell them this, that they
E
stop
deixar
destroying
o que está em sobra
and
para que
leave what is
respirar,
left so that we can
para que
breathe,
possamos viver nela.
so that we can
A
live in
natureza
nature.
deixa nós viver.
Nature is what lets us
E
live.
se nós não se posicionarmos,
If we don't take up a
vamos acabar com
stand,
tudo.
everything will
E
end.
Pelo que nós vamos respirar?
And
A floresta
how are we going to
está nos
breathe?
ajudando a respirar
The
melhor.
forest helps us
Quando não tem
breathe.
floresta, nós não
If
vamos
you don't
respirar.
have a forest,
Ou seja,
you won't
nós
be able
vamos
to
ser
breathe.
extinto desse planeta.
We will become
Por
extinct
isso
on this
que
planet.
cada de nós,
So each one of us,
vocês que estão aqui,
you who are here,
vamos ter esse papel de
we have a role
conscientizar as
to
pessoas,
create
os
an
próximos,
awareness amongst
para
people
que eles possam ter
so that
também
they
esse papel de
can also
poder,
have this role
de poder repassar isso para os destruidores que
to
estão
get this
destruindo
finally to
tudo,
the destroyers.
né? É isso que vocês temos, eu e
This,
vocês,
what
todos
we,
nós,
you and I,
temos esse papel
have
de
this role
repassar para o
to
mundo,
transmit
para
this
que
to
eles
the
também
world
se preocupem
so
com
that
o
they
planeta,
can
o
also
planeta
concern
Terra.
themselves with the planet Earth.
Tamlia. Come. Come de. Mana. Itu mari kyo ya. Hara pe ya. Ari makunga. Ye yu nei wale boy nei makunga. Imang mere ki jaga katar me maka ben mon me ne aka ben puka meng mon oka ju meng maka ben namo imaka ben ale jawar. Are mari ole jabiri. Are mari ole jabiri on ya nyono. Oni akam mana oke batoi. Oke Kristia batoi. Pia batoi. Puka amo. Ni kamari mo yani puka ya amo. Oke Kristia batoi kamja. Ara kute tulo kati. Obra. Batai ku ba ombuno ke me omo na je kami mo kati. Morgane oru wa mere omun kuni puka no. Na moi mane. No, mana Orlando me krao jo na ri ma mana me ta ku kra jo ya ma ane ni ma gaya me te ku te no big no ma ka ka tan me ma ka ben ya ke me aga ben ma na mo ari ma ne jo krao jo ai ma ne jo ai ma no me ba ku ka ma me amigo kre joy me ba jo a chue me ba jo krum tin me ka dong pro me ko bi puka ka pro li bali iro chon paro mantenho ka dong pro me ko te be pari me puka ke ari ma kre te ba mo yo tu oh no le boy jule ni no ku se ga le boy ima jule ni no ku se me abam ne ya oh do ne ku be me abam jule ni no ku se ki ma ka tar ka be ne ye be no aro ai bi me kri ya tu me ka ngoi te cho te ma ka mi ma ki ke ku me cũng sống na rồi nè hai chú cũng vậy cứ nó không nên mà không là nó mấy cái nhiều nó bị quả nhưng mà yêu ai không bị quả nè cũng sống na rồi ai không bị quả.
Você é amigo do Bolsonaro?
You're a friend of Bolsonaro's.
Tá né ya? Não vou me amar nem me amar come ba nhà chú me amar ni kita aku me baca fenya amen orang kami bati bujit baca fenya umon और काटने के कोई का मैं आयो अबेन कुटं आका बेन आयाले के न बम मारो ने ara mão ne tá né.
Bom, nós vou tentar.
I'm going to try to recapture all that.
Ele falou
He said,
Bom,
well,
hoje nós estamos mais uma vez
today
discutindo
again
sobre o
we're
tema,
discussing this topic
da nossa vida,
of our lives,
o futuro da nossa
the
vida.
future of our lives.
E eu estou aqui compartilhando.
I'm here sharing my thoughts with
Bom,
you.
como eu sou pajé,
As I am a shaman,
tenho que falar que eu sou pajé.
I have to say
eu,
that
eu
I'm a shaman.
conheço,
And
no mundo dos
I
espíritos,
know in the spirit world,
que a natureza, os espíritos da
nature
natureza
and the
sempre
spirits of
compartilha
nature
os pensamentos deles,
share their thoughts with me.
sempre compartilha para mim
They
as
share
preocupações
with
dele
me
pra
their
mim.
concerns.
Então, todo modo
In any
modo
case,
que eles expressam para eu ouvir,
whenever they
esse tipo de
express
problema que está
themselves,
se causando.
it's the kinds of problems that are being
Que é
caused.
destruir a natureza,
This destruction of
destruir,
nature,
a terra,
the
poluir
land,
os rios,
pollution of the
são
rivers.
coisas principais, né, que
They are the
eles
main
sempre me
things
comunicam.
that they communicate to me.
Esses espíritos sempre
These
me procuram,
spirits
sempre me
seek me.
procuram para
They
compartilhar
come to
as
me and they
preocupações
share
deles
their
para
concerns
mim,
with me
sobre o nosso futuro, o nosso
about our
futuro
future,
de vida nessa terra.
our proper
E eles
future
sempre
on this
falavam
life,
para mim
in this
que
land.
eu devo
And they've told me I should, in my role,
estar aqui, né, nesse
to
mundo
be here
junto com
in this
vocês,
world together
para
with you all,
conscientizar vocês
to
a
try to
também, né,
create an
ter
awareness
amor
in you
grande pela
to have
natureza.
more love for
Porque a
nature.
natureza, ela faz parte da
Because
nossa
nature
vida.
is part of our
São
lives.
nossa família. A natureza
It's our
é a nossa
family.
família.
It's part of our family.
A natureza é nosso irmão,
It's our brother,
nossa mãe,
our mother.
nossa avó.
Our
Então a natureza
grandmother.
faz parte de nós.
It's part of
Ele
us.
que cuida de nós.
Nature cares for
E ele
us.
sempre falava para mim, né, para
He's always
que eu
told me
possa, eu como
that I,
pajé,
as a shaman,
repassar esse recado que
can
os
transmit
espíritos
this
estão me passando.
message that the spirits
Ou
are telling
seja,
me.
muitos espíritos
Many
me procuram,
spirits
né, para
seek me
poder compartilhar
to share
os pensamentos dele,
their
para que eu
thoughts
possa repassar para
so that
vocês.
I can transmit them to
preocupações
others,
deles.
their concerns.
E eles estão muito
And they're
preocupados.
very
Eles
concerned.
estão preocupados com
They're
nós
very concerned with us
nesse mundo.
in this world.
Bom, tem muitos espíritos vivos
There are many
como nós,
living spirits
estão lá
like
no
ours
céu,
that are
vigiando nós, monitorando nós.
in the sky or
Teve
heaven
dia que eu
watching.
subi para cima.
One time I went up
Eu vi uma ave grande,
and I saw a
muito
big tree,
grande,
a
ave grande,
very large tree,
e está sempre monitorando cada passo de cada um aqui.
and it's watching
nesse
each of our
planeta.
steps on this earth.
E eu fui até ele.
And I went to
Fui
it
até ele e vi o ninho dele muito grande.
and I saw
Era um pássaro gigante.
a
muito
giant
grande.
bird.
Bom, esse planeta é como
The
se fosse
planet
uma fruta.
is like
que nós estamos.
it were a fruit.
Nós estamos numa árvore gigante.
And we're on this giant tree.
Ou seja, o planeta é como se fosse
So the
uma
planet
fruta.
is like a
Tem
fruit.
vários tipos de galhos.
And there's lots of
Onde
branches.
tem vários tipos de seres.
And there are different
seres
types
nesse
of
universo.
beings in this
Ou
universe.
seja, estamos numa fonte
So we're
de que uma árvore
at a point
está
where the
está
tree
deixando nós vivos, né?
is
Vivos
still
nesse planeta.
providing life to us
Em
on
outros
this
galhos tem outros
planet.
seres.
But on other branches, there are
delas
other
tem
beings.
Muitas aves gigantes que eu até cheguei neles.
And I came to some other
conversando com
trees,
eles,
and I was
até
talking to
tinha
them,
pedido para eles,
and I asked
pelo
them,
menos arrancar uma
can I
pena
take
deles
just a little bit
para mostrar para os
to show
nossos seres aqui,
our
nós aqui.
beings here on
Eles
Earth?
falaram, não leva
They
uma
said, no,
pena.
don't
Se
take
você levar,
even a
vai
feather
morrer
from a
todo
bird.
mundo.
If you
Falou
do,
isso pra mim,
everyone
uma ave
dies.
gigante, grande.
So this big tree
Ave
told me
grande.
that.
Por isso que eu não trouxe, mas
That's why I didn't bring
é
it.
muito interessante.
But it's very interesting to see.
Nós estamos
We
diante de uma
are
árvore grande.
before this great
Esse
tree.
planeta é como se fosse
The planet
uma fruta,
is like
uma
a fruit,
gigante,
a
onde
giant
nós
fruit.
estamos.
And that's where
Vários
we
tipos de
are.
galhos,
And there's lots of
tem
these
tem
different
outros-
branches
outros seres vivos
with other
vivendo
living
nesse
beings
universo.
on each one.
E é isso que eu tenho que compartilhar
And that's
com
what I
vocês.
wanted to share with you.
Sendo eu como pajé,
Me as a
vejo
shaman,
muitas coisas.
I see many things. I see many forest spirits that come to me for me to transmit their concerns to you, to the humans on this planet. And this is something that you should be aware of, that we are living in one world. Nobody lives on a different world from anybody else. We live together. We breathe the same air. We drink the same water. We're all together on this planet. So you who are here, we have to have a single thought, a single language, so that we can be together in this struggle, in the cause of defending our own lives, the future of our own lives, to be able to tackle these problems that are causing so much trouble to our lives. So we have to be together, all of us together, on a good path towards healthy life, where things are normal and we can live peacefully. That's what we want that you do to help. And there's no conflict. We don't have to have conflict or problems. We just continue living well.
Nghe vậy thì mình cũng bảo
Ôi nó tôi nó ôi nó lại
bữa nó có bị cái mà mình bảo này.
Arun, kamu gritando nói lại gitu. Ele quer falar
He would like to talk about demarcation of indigenous territories.
Mana gì? Ye bữa nó có cái nhưng mana mẹ cùng gì cái cũng để pi cái mà nó bà mà nó anh đi mẹ cũng đi mưa này mà cái mẹ piu cái bây giờ mưa cho muốn mà nó vào bữa nó có cái có bao giờ cái giờ của mẹ cái bây giờ có mẹ ya mình bảo được mà nó đi cà phê oi nó đấy ta này à.
Por último, eu quero aqui, né,
I'd like to
pedir apoio
ask
de todos,
your support here,
contribuições de todos,
and contribution of all of you,
refletindo aqui
to reflect
de vocês que
together
as demarcações de terras indígenas,
the demarcation of indigenous territories and peoples
são uma ponte
is
principais para
one of the main
frear
means
essa destruição que está
of
acontecendo.
impeding this destruction that's happening. If you demarcate the indigenous lands, they can preserve the forest, they can preserve the rivers, they can preserve everything that's there that will provide our own future. So, demarcation of indigenous lands is important. It's important. That's why I ask all of you here to support us in our cause, to be able to demarcate our lands and to monitor indigenous lands. Monitor daily. So, to do that, we need financial support.
Ainda mais fortalecer
we need to strengthen our surveillance and enforcement of our borders so that there are no invasions that are trying to destroy the forest. So I want your contribution in this, providing support to our cause, to maintain a standing forest so that we can have the capability to strengthen our monitoring, our surveillance of our lands. And we're working on that constantly. So if you help us, we'll do it. And to end my talk, I wish you all a very good afternoon. That's what he said.
Você gostaria de falar momentinho, mais um?
Pode ser.
Pode ser?
Say something, can I?
Bom, companheiros, né, que estão aqui,
colleagues,
irmãos e irmãs,
brethren.
que estão aqui. Nós viemos de muito longe.
We've come from very
para
far
chegar até aqui, né? Também, né?
to
Igual
get here,
eu vou falando,
like my grandfather said,
sobre o futuro da nossa vida, né?
struggling for the future of our lives. Me as a young person,
nós vamos ainda mais, né, levar esse legado
we're going
que ele
to
está deixando.
take this legacy that he's left us, that one day he will leave us.
Nós vamos continuar fazendo
We
o
want to
que
continue
ele fez.
doing what he has done.
Viemos muito longe de
We've come from very far
contribuir com ele que a
to
luta dele
contribute
não vai parar. É por isso que
to
eu estou
him,
aqui.
with him, so that his struggle does not end. That's why I'm here, so that our indigenous peoples, our villages, who are all together in this struggle,
Ele é uma referência
he,
para nós,
to
para
them,
todos
he is
nós
a
que
reference
estamos
to us all,
nessa causa, né?
everyone who is part of this
Sou neto
cause.
dele,
I'm his
de
grandson,
sangue.
blood
Eu
relative.
estou
And
desde 15 anos, 14
since I was
anos
14 or
pra frente,
15,
acompanhando a luta
I've
dele.
been
Porque
watching his
a
struggle,
luta dele não é,
because his
não é
struggle
somente para ele, é para
is
o
not
mundo.
just for him, it's
Ele-
for the entire
quando
world.
ele cita de biodiversidade,
Talks about
floresta,
biodiversity and
eles
forests and
são as
rivers.
fontes principais da nossa
These are the main
sobrevivência.
sources of our
Sobrevivência
survival.
mesmo, não é viver, é
Survival,
sobrevivência. Nós,
not-
dos seres humanos, ainda
not anything
continuamos
extravagant,
sobrevivendo.
just
Então, nós
survival of our
precisamos,
species.
quando ele fala, né,
So when he
que
talks
precisamos
about
cuidar da
how we
floresta,
need to
precisamos cuidar do rio,
care for the
é
rivers
porque
and
ele
forests,
fala que são fontes,
because
são
they're the
elementos
elements
que traz a nossa vida,
that bring us
traz
life,
a geração
that
e a nova geração,
bring
e vai vir outra
the future
geração.
generation
Ele
and
sempre
another
cita
generation.
nisso, né?
So he always
E nós
talks
vamos
about
continuar
this.
nessa luta.
And we're going to continue the struggle.
Quando ele fala que
When he says
quando ele fala que quer deixar o
that he wants to
território, quer
leave
deixar
the
as
territories
coisas, que ele quer, né, para
demarcated, what he wants for the new generation,
ele está deixando para nós.
he is leaving
Ele
it to us. He
demarcou
is,
terras
he's
indígenas, onde,
worked
graças
on
a ele,
demarcation of
nós
indigenous lands, and thanks to him, we've been able to
temos
expand
cultura
them.
viva, nós
We
temos
have
nossa
a
própria
living
língua,
culture, we have our
do
language,
povo Kayapó,
the Kayapó
temos
people,
território,
we
né,
have
que
our
ele
territory,
conseguiu.
and he
A luta
was the one that achieved that.
Tão
A
luta
struggle,
muito grande que ele fez, né,
such a
de poder
intense
garantir,
struggle
né,
that he's
a nossa
had
sobrevivência
to ensure our survival
no nosso território, na
within
nossa
our own
casa.
territory, in our
E não
own
vai parar,
homes.
não, a luta dele
And it's not going
vai
to
continuar.
end.
E eu creio
The
que
struggle will
todos nós
continue.
que estamos aqui,
And I believe that
nós
all of
vamos
us here
levar esse legado
are going to
dele,
take this legacy of his
continuar
forward, to
alertando
continue
o mundo,
alerting the
precisamos
world
viver,
that we
viver
need
bem,
to live
viver
well,
com
healthy,
saúde, sem problema,
without problems,
continuar vivendo nessa
continue
terra.
living on this
E hoje eu
planet.
estou aqui com ele,
And here
nós
I'm
estamos aqui,
here today with him. We're here.
nessa oportunidade
We
de
have this
poder
opportunity
passar, né,
to be able
compartilhar,
to share
como o mundo indígena pensa.
how the indigenous world thinks.
Porque nós não estamos aqui
Because we're not here
como pessoa.
as
Nós não estamos
individuals.
Nós estamos aqui
We are here
sendo mensageiros
as messengers
da floresta.
of the
A floresta
forest.
está pedindo socorro.
The forest is asking
E
for help,
precisamos estar juntos, né?
and we need to be
Como ele
together. As he
disse, vamos
said,
se unir,
we need to
poder
unite
lutar pela mesma
to
causa.
fight for the same
A causa
cause.
é
And the cause is
sobrevivência, né? A causa
our
é
survival,
sobreviver cada dia,
our
viver
daily
cada
survival,
dia,
to live
dormir
each day, to be able to sleep
e
soundly
ainda mais viver nesse mundo.
and continue on this
Esse
planet.
que tenho que também colaborar com ele.
And we
Em
will
nome dele, obrigado a
thank
todos,
you.
né,
On behalf of him, I want to
tiveram
thank
atenção,
everyone for having given us this time
em
and
nome do meu povo, em nome
your comprehension
dos
in
povos
the name of
indígenas do Brasil,
our people and the
nós
other
estamos
indigenous
aqui, né,
peoples of Brazil. We are here
repassando a mensagem
sharing
do nosso povo lá
the
no
message
Brasil.
of our peoples in the
Obrigado.
forest. Thank you again.
Abraço a todos.
And have a good afternoon, everyone.
Paulo, would you like to take a couple of minutes to
Yeah, sure.
complement?
So first of all, thank you, Dean Arun, for this moment. Rodolfo, Moore Foundation. Maria, thank you very much. That's for us, it's from Nippon, it's an honor to be here. My dream was stay in this university many years ago, not now, but anyway, to studying here. And for me, it's a pleasure to be here. So always that I'm sharing the moments with Chief Raoni, I am impressed because Raoni, along his life, suffering a countless of injustice. Just some numbers. Between 2020 and 2022, almost 800 leaders, indigenous leaders, has been killed in the Amazon. The deforestation in indigenous land increased more than 240% over the last 5 years. So, despite that, he's here, sharing hope. And hope, it's a very, very important at this moment where we are living in the middle of this climate emergency. So, and a hope for, especially for young people. I think that as a scientist, sometimes we are spreading disasters. So there is no solution for this planet. But the indigenous people in the Amazon, and maybe indigenous people around the world, they know that there is some kind of solution. Raoni is talking about solution, so and bringing hope. So we have some, just to cite some numbers. I'm a scientist, so I love some numbers. But anyway, Rodolfo gave a very good presentation. So we have in the Amazon stocked in terms of carbon 100 billion tons of carbon. This is equivalent to 10 years of global emissions of carbon. So almost 2 years is it's stocked in terms of carbon in indigenous people, indigenous land in the Amazon. So indigenous land in the Amazon, it's a giant cooler of the planet. The temperature inside of indigenous land in the Amazon, it's around 204 Celsius degree lower than around where you don't have a forest. So cooling the landscape to people survive better than without this kind of service. The other thing, it's about agribusiness. I think that everyone here knows that agribusiness for Brazil, it's crucial. It's 20% of our GDP. So, and everyone, planting soy or raise livestock, they say, oh, it's too much land for few indigenous. But they know, and everybody know, that indigenous land, it's provide rain to agribusiness, to agriculture. 95% of agriculture in Brazil is not irrigated, depend the forest. Depend the indigenous people protect the forest to produce rain and transported. I'm losing my poor English, but transported by flying rivers. So, and we irrigated our food production. So all these things we need to bring, to raise for everyone to understand what means indigenous people, at least in the Amazon. Otherwise, we are in trouble, not as Brazilians or people living in the Amazon, but we are globally. So that's my few words. And thank you very much. I hope that Chief Raoni could touch your heart and engage people to be with us and walk together for a better planet. Thank you
much. I am very sorry that we have only very, very limited time for perhaps 1.5 questions or something like that. if anybody is dying to ask a question or make a comment, this is a good moment. Please. 0.75 of a question, 0.75 of a question.
Okay, so I will squeeze like 2 questions in 0.75. So the previous government of Brazil had a terrible discourse about the environment, and it was translated into public policy and terrible numbers in deforestation and fires. The current government, the discourse improved a lot, but the numbers are very, very worrying, not only in the Amazon. So what's the problem in the public policy, in the current government? And as the research community, besides the land demarcation help that we were called to make today, what can we do as researchers? So which kind of knowledge gap do we have that we can try to help and fill with research? So well, how can we help?
Very brief response, Paulo, if you can, please.
Yeah, we are in the middle of a very strong dry season, so everything is burning, but it's not burning. 99% of the fire, it's because the human, someone catching fire in the forest. So we need to understand that it's not just the central government. There are a lot of state governments that is not aligned with central government. So we are trying to demonstrate how important it is, as I said before, for agriculture, for example, open the dialogue. But there is a lot of problems with one thing that for me it's crucial for every country around the world. There is no political will enough. So we need to provide more information, and because that science is so important, because the contact with indigenous people is so important. We are working in a scientific panel for Amazon, trying to connect the traditional knowledge with mainstream science, to find a different way to engage policymakers to do different. But it's not easy. But for example, we are trying to convince farmers and ranchers that something is wrong. And preserving forests, it's the way that they bring rain for their plantation or for their properties. And it's working. But again, it depends on political will. So we need to raise the political will, definitely.
There will be an opportunity for you to have a conversation or approach our friends when we have the reception. Let me just finish by saying something and then invite our dean to come and wrap up. I would like to say that we cannot aspire to global sustainability and true environmental justice that safeguards a prosperous future for generations that are yet to come if we do not take time to read the Chief Raoni's message, and as well as the messages of many indigenous peoples around the planet. I hope that the myriad bottles that they have been sending around the world can be picked up by people and collectively address these gigantic issues. I think that a good approach to environmental justice should surely include the voices of all indigenous peoples as part of the solution. And with that, I want to thank Arun for the time to have this special lecture, and I would like to ask you to please come to the podium and give us your remarks.
First of all, Chief Raoni, it's an honor to have you here and inspire us. I want to thank all of you for joining. I want to thank the Moore Foundation, and I want to thank Rodolfo. When we started this school 2 years ago, we felt that environmental justice is going to be one of our anchors. And Rodolfo agreed to lead that effort as the Associate Dean. But we also realized, frankly, I don't know much about it. And it cannot be just Rodolfo leading that effort. We all have to learn. After all, we are in educational institutions. I may be a professor, but I'm a lifetime learner. We all are. And once in a while, we get some inspired souls to come here and educate us. And I think that's what we saw today. The Dean's lecture is geared for this. It doesn't fit neatly into a departmental seminar or anything. This is about our mission for our school. And the mission for our school is to create a future where humanity and the planet can thrive together. And that knowledge base is there in the indigenous people. And it's for us to learn what are the principles, how to think about it, how to value nature. And I think we got an education on that today. So thank you again for coming, and thank you to Chief Raoni and Beptuk for educating us.